spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This is ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Nobody has more kinds of cars or more kinds of people. See them at the sign of the cat. By Goodyear, makers of the custom Steel Guard radial tire. And by State Farm Mutual. Almost anywhere you live, there's a State Farm agent nearby. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. We got Joe Boo in the house, and of course, that damn Bucky Beaver. You know, I started thinking last night, or actually this morning, I should say this morning. I didn't think actually last night. I was just basically sleeping, thinking about how much my shoulder was killing me. Today, the Cowboys have practice at 10 a.m. Pacific time, earlier than their usual ones. You know, all the other ones have been at 11:45. This one is 10 a.m. They're off tomorrow. Then they have practice on Monday. Practice with the Rams on Tuesday, and then open practice on the 7th, and open practice on the 8th. Of course, they have the game against the Rams on the 6th. So, in training camp breaks on the 14th. Their last practice is the 13th. So, we don't have a whole lot of practices left. In fact, training camp is over half over, and we've wasted this time. But I was sitting here this morning and thinking about this. That one statement from Micah Parsons, that one statement of going to Stephen Jones and basically saying, I'm done. Trade me, okay? That you guys have just been BSing and all that. How much money was made just because of that? The whole internet world exploded with Dallas Cowboys and Micah Parsons. No joke. The funny thing is we've had the exact same thing happen the day before with Terry McLaurin. Is anybody talking about Terry McLaurin demanding a trade? Anybody? No. The watch will be on at practice whether or not Micah Parsons is there at practice. And every step he makes, every mannerism, whether he's smiling and laughing or if he's serious, if he's sad, if he's crying, everybody's eyes will be shining brightly on Oxnard at 10 a.m. to see what Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, if we're going to see Jerry and Stephen, see if we see any of those interviews with Stephen Jones where I disagree with 90% of what you're saying, with that big cheesy grin going on, or Jerry Jones, last year they were cheering louder. They were doing more cat calls for CeeDee Lamb last year. Well, let's see how it is today. We'll see how it is on a Saturday. Now, I hope the fans realize that this practice is at 10 a.m., not 11:45. Every other practice they have has been at 11:45. Now, this might be a walkthrough, for all we know, walkthrough scrimmage. But it's an open practice, 10 a.m. So make sure you get there and cover it. Because, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Cowboys and Micah Parsons going forward. Do Jerry and Stephen Jones look a little more serious? That, they've now become the clown? And see, here's what my bottom line is. Micah's not going anywhere. Micah is not going to be traded. Micah will get his money after they put him through the ringer like they have every other one of their star players. Makes no sense. And maybe they just like having the moniker of saying, well, we've got the highest paid player. We've got, we got the best player in the league. And for those out there that say, because I'm getting Cowboy fans saying, oh, well, just get rid of him. He's he's a nobody. I want to point out something to you guys. I don't think you understand. People will say, well, he's not a good run stopper. Okay. Well, you got some quarterbacks that are great deep throwers that can't hit the short routes. Joe Montana was not a deep thrower, but he could sure do the West Coast offense. There's certain things people are great with. Terrence Steele is a great run blocking tackle, not so much a pass blocking. People have strengths and weaknesses. And for people to go through and just say, oh, well, he's just a pass rusher. First of all, I'm going to say this. Understand what a good coach will do. What a good coach will do is recognize the thing that you do the best and try and maximize it. Okay? Because I'm not there in practice. I'm not there with what the players teach, the coaches teach the players. And what you don't know is, for that defensive end, what they may be teaching him is, because you have speed, your ability to beat people is because of your speed, not because of your size and strength. It's because you are fast and physical. We want to maximize that because every single play, we want you in the backfield. And if you are shooting to get into the backfield, you're not going to be a run stopper because the run plays are going to be hitting inside of you. Now, I don't know if that's what they're teaching him, but as a defensive coordinator, when I recognize that if he gets into the backfield and it's a pass, he's going to cause havoc. And for those out there that say he's nothing, I want you to understand something here. As we sit here after 4 years on the Cowboys sack record, now understand that they didn't count sacks before 1980. Okay? Harvey Martin, they say, has like 114, I think. Our leader is DeMarcus Ware at 117. Micah Parsons in 4 years has 52 and a half sacks. What I want you to understand is everybody else in the top, let me see. The top 14 has well over 100 games under their belt with one exception, and that's Charles Haley. Charles Haley had 34 sacks in 63 games, the exact same number of sacks that games that Micah Parsons had. So Charles Haley, and because people are going, well, Mike only had one sack in all of his playoff games. Well, Charles in 9 playoff games, we got a bird in the chimney. Charles Haley in 9 playoff games only had 3. So that's 1 in 3 games. Micah Parsons 1 in 4. Not really that far off. And when you consider that everybody realizes we can just run the ball on the Cowboys because they suck at stopping the run, you're not going to have that many opportunities to get a lot of sacks. So when I say he's got 52 and a half sacks, right now, today, as we sit here, he is 7th in the Dallas Cowboys all-time sack records. Now, there are ways that you can say, well, there's more opportunities now because modern football throws a lot more than they did, say, in the 70s, which is a true statement. However, he's only 5 sacks behind Ed Too Tall Jones. And Ed Too Tall Jones had 120 games to Micah's 63. He just passed Randy White by half a sack. And it took Randy White 104 games to get there. Tony Tolbert has 59, and he'll catch him this year if he's playing for the Cowboys. It took 144 games. DeMarcus Lawrence, who's is ahead of him, has 61 and a half, and it took him 141 games. Greg Ellis, if he has a monster season, if he ends up having 15 sacks, could pass him, who has 77. It took 162 games to get there. He won't get Jim Jeffcoat this year, but Jim Jeffcoat has 94 in 188 games. You see where I'm going with this? So when you're talking about players' abilities to do something great, he's doing it. We're talking about a guy who had a conversation about leadership with them, who spent the national championship game with Jerry Jones and working on the game. And Jerry Jones trying to circumvent and get a better deal without the agent, which is against the rules. Let's be clear here. Micah Parsons has done nothing to not deserve to get paid. He's shown up. He's performed. He's held the company line. He has done everything as far as the court of public opinion. Jordan Schultz yesterday. Micah Parsons gave the Cowboys everything: leadership, production, passion, and now he's asking out because Jerry Jones and the front office played games instead of paying their best player and taking a negotiation seriously. Embarrassing, and other teams and executives are laughing at this. No other way to do it other than to laugh. And we'll see what happens with the players on the field, because it seemed like yesterday all the players lined up for Micah Parsons. What's so crazy is the fact that we signed Lyle Collins yesterday. Nobody's even talking about it. Nobody. Again, the Dallas Cowboys, Micah Parsons, got everybody paid. I mean everybody paid yesterday. I did 2 live streams. Tons of people there. Everybody talking. Every show, Micah Parsons all day long. Yeah. And I still believe this is April Fool's in August. Let's go to Sports Center here where they go through and talk about the drama from yesterday.
Parsons posting today on social media that he wants a trade. He's been a hold-in at camp seeking a new deal. Adam Schefter reports that talks were actually going backward from Parsons' initial meeting with owner Jerry Jones in March. And Parsons today explaining on social media what's been happening over the last couple of years. And it is a lengthy post, but this to me is the most glaring part. Quote, "Up to today, the team has not had a single conversation with my agent about a contract. Not one demand has been made by my agent about money, years, or anything else. Still, I stayed quiet. But again, after repeated shots at myself and all the narratives, I have made a tough decision. I no longer want to play for the Dallas Cowboys. My trade request has been submitted to Stephen Jones personally." I just mentioned him. Let's bring in our NFL insider, Adam Schefter. Shefty, how did we get to this point with Dallas and Micah Parsons?
This has been building, Elle, for quite some time, and the fact that we've seen other pass rushers get contract extensions in recent months, and the Cowboys haven't even had any conversations with Micah Parsons since late March, early April, when the Dallas Cowboys felt that the makings of a deal were in place, tells you where things are today. And it led to Micah Parsons telling Stephen Jones he now wants out of Dallas. Now, usually Jerry Jones likes this sort of attention, but when we go back to previous contract stalemates with Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb in recent years, none of those players ever issued a trade request the way that Micah Parsons did today. Now it's up to the Dallas Cowboys to figure out how they want to proceed. But Micah Parsons' big objection was the fact that he felt like he was going to talk to Jerry Jones about leadership, and somewhere during the talk of those conversations, Jerry Jones turned it into a negotiation that did not make Micah Parsons feel entirely comfortable. When he went to hand it off to his agent, the Cowboys got uncomfortable, and there's been no conversations since then until today when Micah Parsons said he would like to be sent away from the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, negotiating with agents is literally par for the course in this particular industry. But let's humor me for a second. Let's say Dallas does trade Parsons. What kind of return would they get?
Well, you could look back to the time when the Raiders traded away Khalil Mack to the Chicago Bears the week before the opener, and it included multiple picks, including 2 first-round draft picks. There is the compensation back then that was traded. But let me say this, El. I do not believe that the Cowboys want to nor intend to trade Micah Parsons. We'll see how dug in Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones wants to win a Super Bowl. Who knows how many more chances he's going to get to try to win one. Micah Parsons is the best player on their team. He's 26 years old. He's one of only 2 players in NFL history that has had at least 12 sacks in each of his first 4 seasons, the other being Reggie White. This is not the kind of player that you want to move on from for draft capital in future years when you want to win now. So there'll be a lot of drama in Dallas until this is resolved, but something tells me the Jones family will not want to and does not intend to trade Micah Parsons.
We saw in recent years, outside of the Cowboys, Lamar Jackson, when he couldn't work out the deal with the Ravens at first, request a trade as well. Obviously, it worked out, and he is still a Raven, but we'll see how this plays out, and obviously Adam Schefter will be all over it for us as it does. Thank you, Shefty. But, I mean, honestly, you guys, why not just pay the man? It feels inevitable. I mean, he's produced a pass rush win rate of over 30% since his league debut. That is the best in the NFL. He's a 2-time All-Pro. He's pressured the quarterback on about 17% of his pass rush snaps. That is also tops in the league. For much more on the precarious Micah Parsons situation, we bring in Kevin Clark, who's host of This Is Football. I mean, how do you see this playing out? What are we doing?
Very few things are more worthless, Elle, than a superstar in the NFL demanding a trade.
Yeah.
Never happens. Okay,
Yeah.
they say it, and then either, I mean, I was the idiot who thought that Myles Garrett was doing his stand for more than money. Oh, it was personal. Oh, it was because he wanted to go to a winner.
Yeah.
Guess what? Money solves everything. Money will eventually solve this, but I see a lot of flashing red warning signs here, okay? I'm in the car right now driving down I-84, and I'm seeing a check engine light on the Dallas Cowboys because this situation feels different. And everybody says, oh, well, this is how they handle business in Dallas. That makes it worse.
Correct.
That's not good, okay? And so you run to sign an extension with someone like Micah Parsons. A quarter of the Dallas Cowboys pressures last year were from Micah Parsons. That was top 5 in the league, despite the fact that Micah Parsons missed 4 games last year. That's a historic share. I just think this is ridiculous. They got to sign him soon.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Zillennials at home would say, go back to last year to Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, and that this is how they do business. Us old heads can go back to 93 with Emmitt Smith, and it took Charles Haley putting his helmet through a locker and saying, we can't do this without Emmitt, and them starting out 0-2 for them to finally sign Emmitt, and what'd they do that year?
Well, not only that, not only they won the Super Bowl, but listen, the Zoomer version of the sticking your helmet to the locker is changing your profile Twitter picture to a photo of Micah Parsons, which 4 Cowboys did today.
Okay, Mina, what's your reaction to Micah Parsons?
You see what I mean? You see what I mean about
this feels like a giant waste of everybody's time because
everybody
the
got paid
Dallas
off of
Cowboys
this.
are probably going to pay Micah Parsons. The reality is they should have paid Micah Parsons a long time ago. He is one of the best defensive players in football. He is their best defensive player. He is 26 years old. These are the type of players you pay and give gigantic contracts to, typically early, Frank, the way the Philadelphia Eagles do it with a lot of success. The only reason this is dragged out as long as it has is that Jerry Jones tends to drag these things out in a way that is not helpful to the team. So I still feel like he's going to be a Dallas Cowboy. I just think that this drama has been unnecessary.
You know, the way the league is set up with the financial structure, it's almost like the player has to do this, as crazy as it sounds, because he's under contract for this year, about $24 million. Then he could be franchised the next 2 years. So he's trying to strike while they're on his side. He's clearly one of the best defensive players in football. He's eventually going to get paid, and it'll become the highest, non-quarterback in the NFL. He's that good. But there is a part of me that thinks that Jerry Jones just likes the drama of it. He likes the Cowboys being in the news cycle. It never ends. My thing to you would be, is it smart to do it with a generational talent like this, though?
You know, it's another way to get in the news. Win playoff games.
There you go.
You're right.
And the more productive way to do that is to pay your really good players. But what do I know? All right.
We'll leave it right there. And I've said that too. As much as this has broken the internet, Cowboys getting the NFC Championship game and winning would do even more. So here we sit. Stalemate. Cowboys versus Micah Parsons. I'm betting on Micah Parsons for the win. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and we will see you real soon. But you know how we roll. I got to get out of here.
Can't stand it anymore. I've got to get out of here. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Stewardess, please let me handle this.
I've got to get
Calm down. Now get back to your seat. I'll take care of this. Calm down. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Doctor, you're wanted on the phone. Everything's going to be all right. Please.
Sister, please, I'll handle this.
I've got to get out of